Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we're all figuring out together how to just peace out, right? How to just trust God. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today in a roundabout kind of way, right? Just trusting Him for each day, just trusting Him for each moment, no matter what each day presents or what gets piled on our plate or taken off our plate. Each day we just want to learn to just trust Him. And I think the trick is just learning to trust Him a little bit faster, right? And not chasing those fears, not chasing doubts, but when things get piled on our plate or taken off our plate, good things can get taken off, right? So, when things happen, to not just jump into fear or doubt or run with those, but instead just go, okay, I'm going to trust God with this so I can just peace out, right? And that isn't that the key to the whole thing, and just learning how to peace out and just learning to do it faster and faster and allowing it to just rain. That's what we're going to talk about. Philippians 4. I was reading there. I was actually still reading Luke. Luke is long-winded. Still reading Luke, but I found myself in Philippians this morning too, and this little phrase grabbed me. I was actually reading over, we've talked about the other scriptures in Philippians 4 a lot, be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer, make your request known to God, and then the peace of God will protect your heart and minds. We're living that one out, are we not? Learning to do that faster, like I just said, that when we have anxieties come, when fears come, when difficult circumstances present themselves, when no matter what that is, on what level, because all of our stories are so different, right? But the same thing we have, all of us have His peace in our story. All of us have His grace in our story. All of us have His mercy in our story. Salvation, He's in our stories, right? He's woven into the fibers of our lives, right? And so it's just we're just learning faster and faster to just, instead of chasing those anxieties, instead of chasing fears, instead of embracing doubt, as soon as something comes, it's getting a little bit easier. I've got a ways to go. Hopefully you've already mastered it, right? But it's getting easier to go, oh, hold on, I can package this up, give it to God, and ask Him how to handle it. I can package it up, give it to God, and go, I don't know what to do with this. And maybe He's going to lead me to forgive someone. Maybe He's going to lead me to just trust Him just a little bit more. I was reading that this morning, and I was like, man, we talk about that scripture so much. Let me look at something else. But I read through it again because it's just such a powerful passage here in Philippians 4. But this one phrase stood out to me in the very first verse. He's talking, and we see a little hint of Paul's care for the church here, because he says, therefore, my beloved, longed for brethren, my joy and my crown. And he's going, I love you guys, man. You're my tribe. You're my people. I love you guys. And we see a little bit of that care that he's got there, right? And so he says that, but then he makes this plea to them: stand fast in the Lord, beloved. He says, stand fast in God. And I was like, stand fast. How would we say that today? Hold on, right? Stay the course, stay on track. So many different ways to say it. But then I thought, stand fast in the Lord. Well, didn't He say that in Ephesians 6 too? And He did. He said, be strong in the Lord in Ephesians 6:10. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. It didn't say be strong in the Lord and trust what you can do. It said be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might, that He's our strength. He's our solution. He's our peace, right? And then he goes on, he says, put on the whole armor of God so that you can stand against the tricks and wiles, is the old term, of the devil. For we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against principalities, against powers. We wrestle against doubt. We wrestle against fear. We wrestle against all these things that come at us, that build those anxieties up if we don't give them over to God, right? We wrestle against the rulers of darkness, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. But then he says this, verse 13, therefore, because we got all this going on, because we got thoughts coming to our mind every day that's trying to steal that peace, because we got situations that just get piled on our plate, and because we see wickedness reign in the world, we see literally evil just coming to maturity in our world. There's just so much out there, right? He says, because of all of that, take up the whole armor of God. And here's why. So that you will be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, and we are living in an evil day, and having done all, just stand. Just stand. Just take your stand and go, I'm not going to let this situation have my mind. I'm not going to let these thoughts have any root, because we got thoughts, but every thought you have is not your own. And don't let temptation define who you are, because we can be tempted with anything, right? And something can come, and we see that temptation and we go, oh, I'm a horrible person. Why did that even come? No, that's not your fault. You've got these wickedness and evil coming at you. You've got to still fight it, but it doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you were tempted by something bad or something evil, right? It just means the enemy's trying to find what he needs to trip you up. But that's when you just go, I'm just going to stand. I can stand because I know that I'm covered in the righteousness of God. And isn't that in the armor? We have the breastplate of righteousness. And 1 Corinthians 1:30, Jesus was made into us righteousness, wisdom, and salvation, right? So we have to just remind ourselves that God is enough to cover us in any situation. We have to remember that his righteousness isn't a switch we turn on and off. We're righteous, we're unrighteous. We're on, we're righteous. We're off, unrighteous. No, he made us righteous, and we trust that. And that is just the essence and the simplicity of faith. Just trusting that he's got us. And in that right there, that is standing. Just going, I know God's got me. I know he's given me his peace. I may not even feel it right this second. I may not know how to get back to that peace when something big happens, or even something little happens that shakes me. Something comes at me. I may not know how to, maybe I didn't just immediately go right back into that peace and let that peace reign, because we have to mentally sometimes and emotionally and kind of figure things out, right? But it just shouldn't take us that long to get back to that peace. The decision itself is actually sometimes the hardest part. Just going, okay, I'm going to let God have this situation. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to do what is expected of me as just a decent human being. But I'm just going to trust God that he's got me covered. I'm just going to trust God that his peace is still right here. All I got to do is get my thoughts and emotions out of the way and let his peace reign, right? And that, in essence, is standing. It's just saying, no matter what comes at me, God's got me. No matter what presents itself in my life, good, bad, indifferent, whatever circumstances I find myself in, whatever situations I accidentally or on purpose walked into, God's got me. And that, in its simplicity, is standing. In simplicity, that is great faith. Just going, I know he's got me. I know he's got me. He's got me covered. He's given me his peace. His grace is still enough for today, no matter what gets woven into my story today or taken out of my story today. God's grace is still sufficient, just like God told Paul in 2 Corinthians 12. And Paul says, I asked God 3 times to take this away. And God answered with, my grace is enough to carry you through this. Right? So God doesn't always just remove things, but he will walk through them with us. He never removes himself. We can acknowledge he's there, or we can not acknowledge he's here, but he's right here always, right? And he doesn't remove himself. He doesn't say anything's too complicated. He doesn't say anything's too difficult. He just says, my grace is still enough. And that's why we can just stand. We stand trusting him for whatever gets put on our plate today. And that's where that peace begins to come in, knowing that we don't face anything alone, but we stand in his righteousness. And you know what? Nothing can come at us that makes us unrighteous. It can't take that away, because that's a work God did. Who's big enough and bad enough to take that away? We cannot accept it, but he already did. He already did it. So that's why we can just stand and say, I got his peace. I've got the breastplate of righteousness. I've got the helmet of salvation. I've got my feet are shod with the gospel of peace, the good news of peace. Jesus made peace. We have peace. We can walk in it. That's why we have the gospel of peace on our feet, right? So today, let's figure out today. This is our homework. is to figure out how to walk in that peace for one more day, right? Peace out, you guys. I hope I said something that made sense. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.